Messieurs, merci d'accueillir l'équipe de Paper Tiger.
I get in particular sport.
Just a little introduction before we go directly to questioning. So, at the other side of the table, we have one of the producers of the film, Rafaela Leon. Next to her, another producer, Anthony Catagas. We're going back to this side of the table for the other producer, Rodrigo Teixeira. Next to him, Adam Driver. On the other side, Miles Teller. And Monsieur le réalisateur, James Gray. James, before we start, I think you tried to get Scarlett on the phone yesterday. You didn't get her, but you got something for us, do you?
Well, yeah, I want to be fair to Scarlett. I didn't tell her I was going to try and FaceTime her. I just thought we might get lucky, but she was, she's working and all that in New York. Yeah, she wrote a note. This is from her, okay? So whatever encomia, or for me, or for Miles or Adam, I'm not editorializing. All right. Working with James and this extraordinary cast was one of the great pleasures of my career. I feel so fortunate to have been part of a story so deeply rooted in what matters most: human connection, identity, and the way our values evolve across generations. I'm sorry I can't be there with you today. James, I know you're reading this right now, and this part will make you genuinely queasy. My apologies, but I want you to know how much it means to me to have been part of something that you created with such care and intention that came from the depths of your artistic soul. The consideration and sensitivity toward the human condition in this film is so evident on screen, every frame of it, and I am so extraordinarily proud to be part of it. To everyone watching and writing about this film, thank you for sitting with our story. Cinema has this rare and remarkable power to connect us to one another through a shared experience. It happens in the dark, in a room where we can't see each other's faces, and yet somehow we can feel each other's presence, each other's empathy. That collective empathy is something we could certainly use more of right now. And my hope is that by making movies like this one, we can feel, even for a couple of hours in the dark, a part of the shared human experience. Thank you.
Okay, let's start by a question for you, James. This is what I love about your work is the coherence of it, and how much it's all movies are mirroring each other. I mean, with this one, can we say, do you agree if we say that it's in the continuation of your first one, the continuation of The Yard, Little Odessa, and We on the Night? Is it, but a more, I don't know, like how to say that, but a more mature director, if I should say?
Didier, I think it's an amazing fact that a compliment that you could give me is that the film is coherent. That would seem to be a very low bar, but thank you.
No, I was talking about your work.
No, I'm kidding with you. I mean, honestly, that's a question that I can't really answer because I'm inside of it. It's from me. I'm trying to do things that are personal, that matter to me, and issues that matter to me, and themes that matter to me. And so, of course, there's going to be repeated stuff. But I actually think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think if you have anything to say, I don't mean say on a soapbox, but I mean anything to really express, if it's coming out somewhat clearly, it will be repeated over and over. You kind of make the same movie over and over again in different modes. About maturity, I think that's kind of a different way of saying I'm older. Isn't that what you're trying to tell me? I don't know about that either. I mean, sometimes, in the process of cinema, you don't always grow. There's an assumption, the older you get. And that is true for some directors. I mean, certainly Ran by Kurosawa, is the culmination of a great career. But it's not always the case that, filmmakers, as they get older, do work that is more mature, more interesting. So to the degree that it's more mature, I just don't know. I'm too inside of it. I'm sorry I can't give you a glibber better answer, but that's the truth.
Adam, Miles, question for both of you. Actors in Mr. Gray's movie are always remarkable. I mean, there's something that he finds into you that is different than what we've seen before, and that is also what he's using, also what you've done before, is using the way you act. Is there such a thing with actors as the James Gray's touch?
As a what? A James Gray touch?
Yeah.
I mean, I've loved all the performances in James's films. I can speak for myself and you know, the actors on this film. I know that we you know, really enjoyed that experience. There's an earnesty and a sensitivity and a thoughtfulness to the work, and that's comes directly from, you know, James. And I think it's pretty consistent. There's just something, you know, in this film and a lot of James' films, all my scenes are with my brother, my wife, or my kids, and that's rare. And I think that allowed me to attach something so personal and deep from my own life and be able to share it. But it felt very much like a family when we were on set. It was a small, tight-knit group, and so that was something I very much appreciated.
Adam?
Yeah, well, James sets the tone. It all comes from the top down, and a lot of it is so specific in the script, so there's not much work that you have to do. But I guess the impulse, because we were fighting time and a small budget, would be that we have limited takes and we're not going to provide space for improvisation. But I think because it's so clear in the script and because it's good writing, there's many ways to play the scenes. And of course, there's going to be a cinema aspect to it, but he kept that pretty separate. He's very respectful of actors' process, even if it's different within the same film, and that's the priority over any shot. And his shots are obviously based on what's happening in the scene. They're character-driven, so he provides you a lot of room and freedom to try something, and because again it's rich writing, there's many options. If it's bad writing, it's only one way you can do it, you know. But he sets a great atmosphere that anybody feels free to try something.
Madame, Messieurs, the producers, very simply, how to produce James Gray? Do we just set up everything and we let him do the work? How does that work, Madame?
Well, it's easy. It's easy to let him work. So yeah, he had his vision from the very beginning, even when he writes. I remember the first speech he made about this movie, and I find everything in the movie right now. And so I think it's easy to work with him. He is fantastic. It's an honor.
Yeah, I mean, I think our job as producers is to create an environment for creativity to succeed within and hold a space still as possible, so the wonderful artists around us can do what they're here to do. I think James and I have been doing this since we had Blackbeard, so maybe 25 years ago, and maybe Redbeard. And yeah, I mean, he's a very special person to work with, very prepared, very kind, and sensitive to the creative space. So that makes it very easy for a producer to succeed.
I think it's the same as Anthony. For me, work with James is a privilege. It's a film lover. When you go to talk to him, we stay 4 hours, 5 hours talking about films. You learn. He's someone who teaches how to really like cinema. It's a privilege to work with someone who loves cinema like James, and we are doing our third film together, and all the time we spend together is cinema. It's great. And we are here because of this. I think the love of James for cinema. And I'm very happy also because in this film, the history, you have someone like Raffaella Leone, who is the daughter of Sergio Leone, doing this film with us. It's very important to respect this film love we have. Anthony, who is one of the best producers I ever worked in my life, who knows how to do this job and save any aspects of the film, make the film happen. And for me, it's a privilege to work all of them. And James, it's probably one of my favorite directors in the world, and I'm very happy to work with him.
Okay, we're going to take a question right here.
What they're really saying is I stayed on budget, thank God.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Marcus from Sweden, work for OnePress TV. It's great to have you here. I want to ask Adam Driver and Miles Teller a question. So the brothers plays a central role in the movie. So how did you work together to create this brotherhood relationship? Looks authentic on screen.
There wasn't much that we had to work at because, again, the script is so clear and specific that we didn't have to put much on top of it. We had like a week or maybe 2 weeks of rehearsal before we started, and James is very forthcoming about bringing his personal stories and why he wrote things, but he's not territorial over it. I feel like in those rehearsals, everyone was very forthcoming of the dynamics that they pulled out of the sibling relationship. And so immediately there's a trust, and you kind of know what people are working with. And also Miles is just an incredible actor, so that he's available and playful and prepared. So it's kind of easy. I just like him immediately, so we didn't have to work at it at all. Scarlett, I've known, because we did a movie together before, so there was already a shorthand and intimacy and safety net. So it was very easy. To fall in love with Miles, and one thing
Not
that
so bad yourself.
and James at the top, the one directive was, so long as every choice for Gary is based on his love for his brother, we should be able to find the arc of the character. That's the undercurrent of everything. So easy is the short, more succinct answer to your question.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time. Like Adam mentioned, I think maybe a week or two, and that brotherhood and that sibling relationship is very much at the heart of this. And I feel like that dynamic tends to be established at a pretty young age in most households. But with Adam, it was interesting. We talked about this because we had spent some time throughout the years at different events. When we'd see each other, we'd kind of go off to the side and chat for a little bit, but there always seemed to be this sense of familiarity between the two of us without having worked together. But you can talk about it all you want in rehearsal, you really don't know until you put it up on its feet. And, Adam was incredibly spontaneous and generous and really, just fantastic to work with. And so I think we got very lucky. It was an incredible script, and we just kind of had to fill in the gaps and embody it.
Okay, we got a question over there.
Hello, this is Kathy from Belgium, RTBF. James, your movie has been so important in my life, so it's an honor to talk to you today. And my question is, you often portray men who feel useless unless they succeed economically. Can you develop why the 80s are so important regarding that subject, and how far do we still live with that today? Thank you, and thank you for all your movies.
First of all, thank you so much. It's very nice of you to say. I'll tell my wife repeatedly that when we're at home, and then she'll say, "That's nice, now take out the garbage." Can I get pretentious for a second? The 80s. Well, I went to the Soviet Union in 1984, and it was totally broken, and nothing really functioned at all. I mean, it was a mess. And I have that very clear memory. And I know that in 1986, after Chernobyl, Gorbachev started this program of perestroika, or glasnost, really, an introduction in a very minor way of market reforms. And around the same time, China began to open itself up to the market. And really, in a matter of just a handful of years later, obviously, the Soviet Union dissolved, and China we know what that is. And so the counterweight to the American system, the market, fell away. And I think this has had, in some ways, a rather disastrous impact on our souls. Now, I'm not advocating for socialist dictatorships. I'm only saying that the market being unquestioned and the market being the only thing that matters has been devastating. And I think the evidence is actually out there. You know, if you talk to young people today, they cannot really articulate it this way. So maybe I'm putting words in everybody's mouth. But my own view of the world today, because of where we are, is that when you cannot monetize integrity, the idea of being a good person, that doesn't actually make you money. What happens? You do get someone like the current American president who is a symptom of what I'm talking about. Totally transactional. You know, how can I make the most money? Well, what's wrong with that? So this ethos becomes everything. And what does that do to our souls? If you tell young people it doesn't matter whether you're a good person or not, the only thing that matters is to make a lot of money, where does that leave them? It leaves them adrift. How come I'm not being rewarded by being good? So the reason I set the movie in this time period is exactly for that. It was the beginning of the moment in which the market became God. I'm sorry, that was a long answer. I'm really sorry.
Non, très bien. Sir?
Just to follow up on that one, how do you keep your soul in shape? This is for Mr. Driver and Mr. Gray. Everybody knows how to keep one's body in shape, but how do you keep your soul in shape? Thank you.
This is for me?
How do you keep your soul in shape?
I got this. To me, family is the most important thing. Of anything, it's love of family. So, and my kids and my wife and my immediate family, so everything else is secondary. That's the priority. You know, if I try to think of if every decision is based on what I can do for them, I'll fail less. So that's it. That's apart from that, you know, I got nothing. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, I would second that. I have a fantastic wife and children. I would say maybe the only thing else I would add for me, art, music, things that transcend the daily grind. But it is tough. Make no mistake about it. Life is hard, and it's hard for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what your station is. It's a grind, and it gets harder. You know, getting older is not for sissies, as they say. So what does the soul need? Well, the soul needs a lot. I try to fill it up with, you know, every now and then listening to, I don't know, Louis Armstrong or Lennon McCartney or Bach or something, and looking at, you know, everything from George Grosz to Velasquez. That cheers me up, and watching a great movie. So that's what I have.
Right.
And the Yankees.
You got a question over there? Please stand up. Thank you. No, not you, not you. No, you. With the mic.
Thank you.
No, with the mic. We don't have the mic.
It's me.
But you're next.
The lady with the hat.
Hi, Nadia Kamami from The Guardian. Congratulations on a powerful movie. This is a question for Adam. Your character displays a wide range of emotions in this film, and I know for an actor sometimes that can seep onto a set. I wondered what your response is to Lena Dunham's portrayal of you in her memoir, and whether your process has changed since your time on Girls.
I have no comment on any of that. I'm saving it all for my book.
All right, so next question. Right over there. The gentleman with the cap now.
Hello. Hello.
Go for it.
I'm Arthur Gadelha from Povo, Brazil. My question is for Adam. Adam, over the past few years at this festival, we have only seen your play in surreal characters, in a surreal movies, like Annette and Megalopolis. So this is the first time here I've seen you as an ordinary man. So in a world that feels like ours.
You can come over anytime.
Yeah. And my mind even went to Patterson, author Ordinary Man of yours, your debut at this festival, exactly 10 years ago. So my question is, how did you build this complexity of this ordinary man in Paper Tiger?
Honestly, it's kind of in the script. I'm only at the mercy of the parts that I'm offered to play or the parts I'm available to play. And for me, it's always been a director's-driven medium. So in my mind, it's try to work with the directors that I feel are going to push me, or that I get an opportunity to play something that is different than I've played before. But it's usually not conscious. It's usually chaos and haphazard. In my mind, Leos Carax, working with him is a no-brainer. Working with Francis on a huge budget, independent, experimental theater film is a no-brainer. That seems like I got to know what that's like. It just happened that they were like that. There's not a lot of movies that I think are made in this world with this specificity, with the politics kind of subtle in the background like this is. And character-driven films I always gravitate towards, but I don't often have a say. Because if you don't get the script, you can't play them. It just happened that this worked out. I mean, I love playing those kind of characters, and James is unique in that regardless of how Greek the setting is at the core of all of his films, at the core of Ad Astra is a father-son relationship, and The Yards and We Own the Night. There's all these great cinematic, ambitious, rare set pieces, but he's operating from a pretty obvious principle that if you don't care about the characters, then you don't care what happens to them, and it just happened to work out that I got to play something that's not in space or Terry Gilliam, Don Quixote is just I don't know, but they're all different and they're all unique and different costumes,
Yeah. Okay, we got a question over there.
Sorry. Mr. Gray, Adam, Miles, producers, thank you for the movie. My name is Márcio Salem from Cinema com Crítica Brazil. I will follow up the question from my colleague from Belgium. She mentioned the powerless man in your films, Mr. Gray, and I'll add to that by a crisis in masculinity and its consequences upon female characters. Hester holds together her family. She says her boys. I wonder how was to weave such intense character and her dramas into the fabric of a man's movies, if I may say. Thank you.
Well, to be honest, I don't think about it that way. It's hard for me to get at it because I just don't think of them as men and women. I think of them as human beings. You know what I mean? I don't compartmentalize like that. I mean, I suppose that's a little bit insincere because there's a larger idea that the patriarchy is still in play and she is outside of their world. But I don't love talking about the crisis of masculinity because you could apply that to anything ultimately. You could apply that. I mean, during the pandemic, this is, again, pretension alert, but I recognized I hadn't read a couple of remaining Sophocles plays, which were Ajax and Philoctetes, and I thought, I have to do that in order to be a fully pretentious person. And so what you realize, they're not dated at all, because this crisis in masculinity you're talking about, I mean, Sophocles is talking about 2,500 years ago, with the internal conflict, the struggle to be a person. That's not really a current or modern idea. That's actually quite ancient. What is modern, what is recent, is the strong man without the flaws. That's the last 100 years. That's the thing we have to get away from and bring back the complexity of what it means to be a human being. So that's what I've tried to do. I don't view it as a current crisis, really. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
Madame, in the center.
Bonjour, Mimosa Kushli, la presse albanaise en Albanie.
Come from the Albanian press. My question is for James, and others might like to answer. It's linked to the title of the film. I grew up in a country where the slogan in this ex-communist country was that American imperialism was a paper tiger. I heard you say you talked about Russia and China, and you said this is a slogan from ex-communist countries. I'd like to know how you found this title. Is it ironic?
faire une sorte de conte, quoi.
Is it just to create a sort of a fairy tale, or do you want to refer to the formerly communist countries? Why did you use this title? Because we used to use it for the USA.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, obviously that wasn't an accident. It was the term paper tiger, where the question was about, which is obviously from, I think originated by Mao, I think, in 1971 or 1970. Yeah, I mean, the title is both true. I regard Adam's character as a paper tiger. I regard the title also, though, with irony, that Miles views that Miles is not a paper tiger in the end, actually, and it comes to a realization that the Russians, that the system itself is underestimated. With its power is quite great and devastating, and they don't see it that way. But their ability to operate and succeed is actually quite difficult. So in the system is so powerful. The title was meant really to refer to many different sides and many different ironies. And what you're talking about, the sort of ex-communist countries using that as a slogan against America, was, of course, in the dynamic. It was in the thread of the film.
Monsieur, at the other side.
Hey, I'm Nitai Dagan from Movie Eaters. And James, I wanted to ask you, a lot of crime dramas in cinema are like social and economical commentaries from The Godfather and Goodfellas and everything. So I want to ask you if the choice to make it a crime drama was thematic or actually dramatic for the stories. And then for the actors, I wanted to ask you guys if you're talking highly about the production, and even there was no time, like you did your best and everything, and you're really grateful, and it's amazing to see. But I wanted to know if there was some kind of a scene or a day that was particularly challenging in this specific like thematic and in this film.
Again, this may sound very disingenuous. I don't think of genre. I don't think, oh, this is a crime drama that I'm going to do. This is the world in which I grew up. So I don't say it's a crime drama, because in a way it distances me from my own experience. It makes my movie is not like, my life is not a Martin Scorsese or Francis Coppola movie. I mean, it's what I lived. So I don't think of them as crime dramas. I think of them as dramas, as family dramas, as a life that's lived, as something to express in an experience, in a series of experiences that I had, either directly or just slightly indirectly. I know it seems glib to say this, but I'm trying to be as personal as I can with the work. And to the degree to which I'm imposing a genre, I've never, ever tried to do that. I mean, maybe Ad Astra obviously was science fiction, in certain cases that's true. But in this world, I never did that. It's just me trying to express the life that I had as a young person growing up in New York. And that's really the truth of it.
And Miles, Adam, any particular scene or days that were challenging? The other part of the question?
It was just very hot. We filmed this entire movie during a heat wave in New York. I don't think we're rarely ever covered by any shade. I know James shot an entire movie on the Amazon, and he said this was physically just as much more challenging. So that's honestly what I remember.
We had a sequence in the reeds at the end of the film, and there was a lightning storm happening during when we were shooting it, and there's kind of a rule, if there's a lightning strike within a certain radius of where you're shooting, you have to shut down production for 30 minutes. I don't know where they get the 30 minutes from, but 30 minutes turns into an hour, and when you're racing time and light already, that was all very challenging. So everyone was kind of all hands on deck, hanging out in the reeds as much as possible, and then it was kind of like go, 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 and get it and move fast. And I don't know how many days we had shooting it, but that was just one day to to shoot it all, and I think we got every ounce of light that Joaquin could get, and it was very improvisational but also technical at the same time. But that's I love that stuff. I love when it's it feels like you're battling time and technology and the elements, and everyone's stressed, and I mean that's not great, I guess, but somehow it inevitably works its way into the film, whether it's conscious or unconscious. There's an urgency that you again, even when we were racing time, James still made space for it, for it to be improvisational a bit, but also because his cinematic mind is so sharp. How he put it together, the lack of music, it was awesome, to be a part of.
I had a lightning strike day as well at a landfill.
Oh.
I don't know what landfill is, I guess, because it was really...
This is where they put all the trash.
It's true. It's true.
Hi.
Sir?
It's Yannis Daouzeos from Athens, Greece. Thank you for this remarkable work. It was an excellent, an astonishing scenario without any single gap. Excellent. Thank you so much about that and about all the appearances. I want to ask, first of all, Mr. Gray, about the idea of New York inside his film. I mean, it's like an emotional landscape that somehow all his characters are looking for a hidden or a lost integrity and a family identity, that it seems that it's a part of a collapsed American dream or something like that. Please describe me this essence I can figure out in this film. And also, Mr. Driver, inside your character, there is so much deep tension, and in the same time you play in between a gaze towards your brother and silence, a gaze towards violence and a gaze towards stability. How much this almost Bressonian idea of approaching reality in your character let you configure what to do with violence at the end?
New York has an emotion.
Yeah, I know. When does this press conference end?
In 3 hours. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm wondering how much time we have. Well, New York is a very interesting place because it is technically, obviously, the United States, but it also is culturally somewhere between the United States and Europe. And you feel the undercurrents of the immigrant influx at Ellis Island. Something like 40% of the American population, the entire country, has a direct descendant that came through Ellis Island, which was really only open for about 23 years. So you feel the current of this history, the layers of history in New York. But with that, the immigrant, the very famous quote by an immigrant once about New York was, "When I came here, I thought the streets were paved with gold, but nobody told me they weren't paved at all." So I feel like, I don't think the American dream is total nonsense. I think there's something to it. I think every nation needs a kind of collective myth to drive it forward. But at the same time, if the dream is only rationalized in very money-making terms without the pull of a kind of spiritual uplift and freedom, then it really ultimately does dissolve. So New York is a city where you can have something that, I have this shirt, I need the shirt dry cleaned. Yeah, when do you need that? Do you need that within 20 minutes? And you can get it. But at the same time, it does have a respect for culture and for history. And my whole family settled there from Russia, and made a life there, and was both very pleased with it and terribly disappointed at the same time. It was very complex. So all of this I attach to New York. Maybe it's just my I know a lot of it is my projection, but it's from personal experience.
The Bressonian reference I'll take as a great compliment to James's film. Especially, I love Bresson's films. A Man Escaped, in particular, I think is a masterpiece, and specifically because of kind of his almost opaque way he plays it, but it's such a rich internal life. The sound in his films, in particular, adds a kind of tension that I think is great. Nowhere in the script does it say where Gary makes the decision of whether or not he's going to give his brother up or whether he's going to sacrifice himself. And we didn't talk about that. It really the directive was, if all decisions for Gary are made for the love of his brother or the love of keeping the family, that would be the tension. But there were some times when we shot scenes where things surprised us. There was a phone call that we shot it 3 times, and then we did a 4th one, and something about it clicked where, even though it's a phone call, and maybe this is the choice where he decides that he's going to have to sacrifice himself. And I can't say what scene we actually did it, but again, there was a lot of finding it on the day as far as creating the arc of his decision-making process. So, James values thought, as something that's cinematic enough. And it gave us the space to experiment. So, there was a lot of internal, but I don't know that it was ever answered. But if you track it as him. As having a rich internal life, I don't know that I can take credit for it.
Gentlemen with glasses over there.
Hello. James, huge fan from Brazil. I'm Gabriel Amora from newspaper Otimista, and I want to know the image of a man alone fight for the people his love seems come back a lot in your work, especially in green deserts. And is that a theme still haunts you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay. The image of a man alone fight for the people his love seemed comes back a lot of in
the image of a man fighting for the things he loves.
Is that a theme still haunts you?
What's haunting?
The image of a man fighting to preserve the things that he loves, the people that he loves. Is it a recurring theme in your work? Is it something that still haunts you?
Thank you.
Well, don't thank me. I don't know what the hell I'm going to say to this. So much of this is not conscious. In some ways, the only thing I was trying to do was put love in the work, to make it kind of a love story of sorts. And the roles that men and women play, I just try to convey them authentically as how I see them, or certainly 1986, how I saw them. I think they've changed a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So you're asking me something that I can't really answer because it involves such an unconscious effort, I don't sit at home and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do, and think about I just try to think of the integrity of the story and the situation, and to make sure that it has internal conflict and dilemma for everybody. I think dilemma is very important. So I know I haven't answered your question, at least as far as I understand it, but it's not a conscious thing for me, ever.
We're going to go.
Conscious is the word I was looking for to answer your question. It was unconscious. I'm going to steal that word. Unconscious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Back of the room over there. Yeah, I can see you.
I'm Cristina. I'm from Sensacine, Mexico, over here. Quick question. Adam, Miles, you both worked on massive production, but also on incredible intimate films. So it was really interesting to watch you play brothers in this story. So my question is, what amazed you the most about each other as scene partners?
Adam's taller.
Yeah, we can tell.
I'm pretty good size. I'm like 6'1", 190. Usually, I haven't worked with The Rock. Usually, I am the biggest person on set. My hands felt very small when Adam shook it. But no, I think when we were at the house and Adam, Gary walks in and he's doing the magic trick and Adam's playing the piano. I had no idea you could play the freaking piano like that. So that was really impressive. But honestly, Adam is he's such an alive actor, which I really enjoy. He's never doing the same thing twice. And so, yeah, I felt like we were able to just find so much on the day and, with each take, find something different. How tall are you?
6'3".
Okay.
6'3". fitting in doorways is a challenge. Finding shoes are a challenge. I love working with Miles. He's an actor. He doesn't have to do much because he has such a rich internal life. He doesn't have to do much, and it's interesting. As far as working with him, he's prepared. He's available. He's on time, and he'll go anywhere that you want to go and try anything. And he keeps the mood light. It doesn't get too heady or dark, and it kind of keeps the room in the moment. It's really some of the best scene partners you can ask for. I couldn't run fast enough to work with him again.
You remember when you almost sent me to the hospital?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't know that we should talk about that.
Okay, I do have a scar.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. She's in the movie. Yeah. It's in the movie.
I know, I saw it. Yeah.
All right, we got a question right here.
Hello, Lazar Christopher from BNR Radio, Bulgaria. I have a question for Mr. Gray. 2 years ago, when I got Criterion Channel, I watched a lot of stuff from your movie-going experience, especially because my favorite film is Rocco and His Brothers by Visconti. If we say that in Brighton Beach right now there's a theater cinema, and you're the program director, and the first movie that's coming out tomorrow is Paper Tiger. What is a double bill that you would program? I'm interested in that, a double bill with Paper Tiger. You're the program director. And for Adam and Mouse, your favorite gangster movie from the 80s or 70s? It's a really short question. I would love, because I'm also a cinephile like you. Especially my favorite scene is when Alain Delon, the last scene of Visconti's Rocco and His Brothers, when the scene at the lake with Renato Salvatori, right at the...
Annie Girardot.
Yeah. So, yes, double bill and for gangster films.
By the way, my wife Allie was just wise or crazy enough for my 40th birthday to buy me a vintage mint condition Rocco and His Brothers poster, which is in our dining room. And it's an image of Renato Salvatori stabbing Annie Girardot. And this is very disturbing for young children. And of course, they would stare at it and wonder, my kids. So I think we did them some damage with that poster. Double bill, I don't know. Anything I could say would be either self-aggrandizing or false modesty, I guess. I'm just gonna say this movie, even though it has nothing to do with Paper Tiger. I'm gonna say it just to plug it, because I was just talking about it. Valerio Zerlini's Girl with a Suitcase, Claudia Cardinale, which I think is a masterpiece. I'll just say that. How's that?
Yeah.
Did you ask me this yesterday? The double bill question? Because I actually thought about this question, and Rocco and his, I'm like, oh, they said Rocco and His Brothers. Oh, okay. All right. So, I thought I couldn't remember. I would say Rocco and His Brothers is a double bill. That's a good gangster film in the 80s. I would say Goodfellas, which I think is late 80s, right? 89? Yeah, right.
And nice.
80s, I would say Goodfellas, and then 70s, The Godfather.
On this, Monsieur James Gray, Madame, Messieurs, merci beaucoup.
Thank you.